It's Thanksgiving, and you have invited all the family over, and of course you want to do this up well, and so you put out the good dishes. Maybe dishes that go back many years to when you were first married, or maybe heirloom dishes, maybe your great-grandmother's dishes. So the question is, what happens if in the midst of having all the family around and all the hustle and bustle that goes on, one of the plates gets broken? What happens? Does it completely ruin the day? Does it ruin the next couple of days? Because suddenly this beautiful china set that you greatly enjoy and even maybe love, it's not complete anymore. Or what about supposing you loan your car to your teenage son, and he calls you a couple hours later and says, hey, Mom, Dad, I got in a wreck. What is the first thing that you say? Do you say, well, son, are you all right? Or do you say, how's the car? Jesus, in that beginning of that reading, says, where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be. And those illustrations might help you get a feel for what he's talking about. Because indeed, as lovely as the china is, if the plate gets broken and it ruins the day, and even if, as I know a story, years later, every time this person gets out the china and realizes that one of the plates is missing, they remember the story about how it got broken and think not kindly of their grandson who did it. If that's the case, well, Jesus is right. Your treasure, your heart, is with the china. It's not with the family. And if your first response to learning of the accident is to say, how's the car? Well, I'm sorry, you have just conveyed more clearly than you could imagine that your heart is with the car. It's not with your son. These aren't easy things to hear, because maybe you are like me and you've been in these sort of stressful situations where the wrong thing has come out. And we kind of know it's the wrong thing, but because of the stressful situation, it's almost like that's the moment when the truth comes out. And we realize that, oh, I am overly attached to whatever this is. Now, mind you, keep in mind, the solution to this is not necessarily to give it all away. Jesus doesn't ever ask all his followers to give everything away. Jesus' concern is what's your attitude towards those possessions. So you might have many lovely things, but the question is, what do you do with them? And is your heart attached to them? I got an advantage that others did not have. I grew up kind of poor, and maybe it was because of that, I don't know. But my parents were really good at this, not getting overly attached to things. And right after I started high school, my mother got my dad, and they got up one morning and they cleaned all the good china, and they got out all the good silver, things that had been given to them at their wedding, and they set the table. And that table stayed set all the way through my high school years, all the time through college. Because my mother had finally gotten to the point where she realized, yeah, this china, I don't want it to be broken. I don't want the silver to get lost or anything like that. But it's this wonderful stuff. We should use it. And so we did. Every day. We used the good stuff every day. People would stop by the house and they would see the table and they would say, oh my, I should leave because you must be expecting company. And my mother would say, no, that's just our table. And I have such wonderful memories of eating off the good stuff all the time. Candles lit, cloth napkins. And it wasn't that we were pretending to be rich. We'd been blessed to have these few really nice things and my parents wanted to enjoy them, and they taught me to enjoy them. What do you do about this? Well, I think some of it, the best first step is just awareness. Well, trying to figure out, well, what am I overly attached to? And it's worth noting that you can be overly attached to things other than material objects. Some people are overly attached to the wonderful world of American politics. That is where their heart is. And they will let that get in the way of family relationships. You and I know lots of stories of people who have chosen their political party over a family member. That's, Jesus is saying, that's where your heart is. Maybe that's not a good thing. And so awareness is the first step. But going back to material things, if you want to try, you want to take a shot at this, you just have to be honest. Walk into a room, stand there or sit down and start looking at every object one at a time, no matter what it is. Furniture, things on the wall, knickknacks, books, whatever it is, and ask yourself, what would happen if I came home tomorrow and someone had robbed the house and that thing had been taken? Now, if you're like most people, I would think that, for example, if you're looking at your kitchen toaster and you realize that if you're pretending that someone has taken your toaster, you're not going to get gut-wrenchingly upset. You know, it's a toaster. Who cares? Inconvenient to replace it, sure, but otherwise it's not a big deal. And perhaps like things like furniture. Yes, it's nice furniture. You picked it out, you bought it. But it wouldn't be that big a deal if it was stolen. You're not really attached to it. Again, it would be more the inconvenience of replacing it. Or maybe for some of us, you look at a piece of furniture and go like, well, if they took that, well, that would be good, actually. And of course, you're going to come across things that might be sentimental. Maybe you got one of those walls that's got pictures of the family, special vacations, grandparents, things like that. Those are important to you for sentimental reasons. And yes, you have a certain attachment to them, but maybe not overly so. Maybe you would realize that, well, yes, if someone came and took all those pictures, that would be disappointing to me. But it wouldn't take too long to get over it because what the pictures represent are all these memories, and I still have those memories. But if you're like most people, you are going to come to an object or two, maybe a bunch of them, where you realize that if you came home and it wasn't there, oh, ouch. I mean, you would just realize the gut-rendering feeling that would be there and how much it would upset you and how much it would affect you over the next days, weeks, maybe longer. Some of you won't be surprised to know the first time I did this exercise, I was doing fine, and then I looked at the bicycle. And some of you know I greatly enjoy cycling, and at that point I had this really nice bike. And not only was it a nice bicycle, but I had ridden this particular one a long, long way. There were so many memories attached to it, and I realized that, if someone took that bike, I'd be a wreck for days. And that's silly. It's a bicycle, 2 wheels, some gearing. It's a bicycle. But somehow I had let myself be attached to it. And so in my case, just realizing how attached I was the first step in trying to convince myself, yeah, that bike matters to me. It's important. So it's indeed a part of my life. But if it should disappear, well, maybe that isn't quite the big thing that I would think it would be. Maybe I could lessen my attachment of it a little bit. I just want to end by pointing out to you this matters. Not only for yourself, I mean, you could appreciate how wonderful it would be to have something happen to the china and that you would momentarily be disappointed, but then be able to turn to your grandson and say, "Oh, don't worry about it, dear. It was just an accident. It's fine." How wonderful that would be. But I don't have time to tell you the story. It's quite long. But if you allow just the synopsis, there was a moment, back in the mid-'80s, when I owned a sports car, and I had an opportunity to let a bunch of high school teenagers over here at Nativity Parish drive the car. And I let them. Because I loved that car, but I was not at all attached to it, and I was just thrilled to see the kids drive it. And so they drove it. They just drove it around the block lots of times. But the result of that was that they trusted me to help them with a retreat they were going to do, which was a bit of a risk for them. But they trusted me to help them lead the retreat, and it went well. And that retreat got me a chance to help with another retreat, which got me a chance to help with another and another and another. And all those retreats I was doing, I was a Protestant. I was a good Methodist. But it was all those retreats that in large measure led me to the Catholic faith, which of course, as you can imagine, led me to stand here. And as I was thinking about this week, I was just wondering what would have happened if the kid had asked me, "Hey, can I drive your car?" If I had looked at him and going like, "What, are you nuts?" No. I just wonder if I would be here, because it's a real good chance that if I had said no, they wouldn't have let me do that retreat, and things would have been way different. So these small acts where we value the right thing, the things of heaven, as Jesus says, they're going to matter. And in this case, I can string it together. Maybe you and I mostly can't do it, but believe me, Jesus is really on to something here. He knows our tendencies. He knows how much we want to be attached to things. And he wants us to not do that, because he knows that detachment is way better for us.